Hi, bye.
Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Bearded Gamer, and today we'll be looking at a build for the Colossus, the Unkillable. So basically, I've tried a lot of Colossus builds in the past, and they weren't as powerful and as resilient as I would have hoped. So and my damage output wasn't that good either. So it wasn't. They weren't really good builds, let's say. And now I figured out a build that even with just 845 javelin power level, I can do GM3 practically solo. Even I can do large parts of GM3 strongholds solo. Many times I join strongholds and there's no one inside, so I start clearing stuff until people join. It takes longer, but it's very, very doable. And I don't even have that much armor percentage increase, so it's just a really good build and a lot of DPS, a lot of AoE damage. There's a lot of priming and detonating going on, and a lot of self-healing, which is key to this build. So let's get right into it. Let's start with the weapons, okay? So I've opened up a lot of war chests. For some reason, I have exactly 0 legendary weapons for the Colossus, but that's not a big problem because I get the AoE primer effect that I want for this slot, plus the 70% armor max. So you need like 200, 250 at least, and I think we're right around there. You can see all the stats in the description below, actually, the important stats. So we have a 70% armor increase from this item alone, and we get some extra ultimate damage, which is nice. The rest we don't really care about. So this does an AoE fire attack, and it primes all the enemies that are hit by it. So it's really good. It does a decent AoE damage tick on the enemies, plus you can detonate a combo, which is also great. Good for your allies, good for yourself as well. If you're solo, it's all good. So the other weapons, I was using 2 weapons with very good armor increase stats because I was trying to get them to be as powerful and as resilient as possible. But I got a really nice this grenade launcher. I didn't have any legendary grenade launchers, and I didn't want to use this just because it's legendary. But then I looked at the stats and I thought, okay, you get 26% overall javelin damage and another 25 on the same weapon. So that's 51 damage increase from all sources, which is amazing. And you also get a 23% increase in your gear recharge rate for both your items, which is also great for all 3 of your items, actually. It's also the support item. The max size we don't really care much about. So this also detonates, and it detonates an area acid effect on a small hit streak. And by small hit streak, it means it's either 2 or 3, I'm not sure. But I've noticed that if it's a big enemy and I hit him with all 3, because this does, it throws 3 grenades every time you press fire. So if you hit the enemy with all 3, it detonates the acid attack, which is good because it lowers the enemy's resistances. It also does some overtime damage, and plus the damage of the actual grenade. And this is a great filler for when your gear is on cooldown, because you will be using your gear almost all the time. This is just a backup. This is for until they reload, if they're not reloaded already. So this doesn't give us any armor, which is too bad. It would be great if it did, but we'll have to sacrifice it for the great extra damage that you get, plus the primer effect. The Thunderbolt of Vivania, we don't really care about it. It's just a stat stick, basically. So check it out. You get 85% armor and another 50 on top of that. So basically, this weapon helps us cover the amount of armor we need on our build, so we can freely choose everything else that we want without caring that much about getting extra armor. So these are the weapons. Now let's move on to the heavy assault launcher. Now this, best defense. I also have the one from the Kata, which is very nice, and you get some sick repair drop rate increase. It's 35 and 30, which is amazing, plus the gear charges and the gear damage, not that important, but it was good for damage and detonating everything. But this one is key to keeping you alive, because even though you're very resilient with this build, you will still need to be able to heal from time to time. And this is great for doing that. In fact, I was recently using, the reason I switched from this version, from the Masterwork version with the extra gear charge, and I went to this, is because of the gear damage. And I've also realized that I didn't need to heal up that much because we get a lot of health drops, so we're good with that. We already have a lot of self-healing from our other items, so I could sacrifice the extra charge to get some extra damage and increase my javelin's level. Hopefully eventually I'll get to 900 so I can get an overall increase in everything, because once you go from Masterwork Javelin to Legendary Javelin, your ultimate damage increases, your combo damage increases, you receive less damage from what I've read. I don't know if this is true, but that's what I've read. So anything that you can change from Masterwork to Legendary without losing stats is fine. So I went ahead with this move, and it works. It's fine. I rarely die in strongholds anymore, and I tend to be soloing stuff because for some reason people don't play strongholds anymore that much because of the cataclysm, I suppose. So yeah, this is the one I chose. Now moving on to the ordnance launcher. This is disgusting. First of all, it's a detonator, and we do all sorts of priming, so this is great for detonating stuff, okay? And the cooldown is actually very small. It's a very small cooldown. So by the time because this is channeled, you don't just throw it and wait for it to recharge. You throw a bunch of rockets and they do acid damage, which is great. Again, it lowers everyone's resistance. The range is ridiculous. The damage is also ridiculous. And we get the 175 extra gear damage, which is amazing. This item is really important to have gear damage on it because it's just for obvious reasons. It has no other stats that really benefit us that much. The gear recharge is nice, but it's not, extremely important. I don't use this one because the gear damage, again, it's very important. If you can get a Venom Storm that gives you extra gear damage of these levels, even if it's Masterwork, I say go for it, because this way not only are you very, very resilient, you also do a lot of damage and a lot of combo detonations, which is important. Everyone needs to output some damage in the dungeon. It's not just tanking and DPSing if you're something else. The support gear, I'm using this because sometimes there's some enemies in some areas, in some strongholds, that you need to be to give your allies some extra defense, let's say. So by doing this, you give everyone a 33% decrease in damage taken. It also, what it says, regenerates shields through damage, which is amazing, especially for people that using softened blows. That breaks your shield. It reduces damage you take by 75%. So if you give him this, then they get shields back, and then the shield breaks again, and they get that effect again. It's just great. And it increases regeneration rate by 50%, which is also great. And apart from that, you get a 30% increase in repair drop rate, which is very useful for the Colossus. It's necessary, actually. And the 46% gear recharge is great. You get it all the time. And the same goes for your whatchamacallit, your heavy assault launcher. You get a 28% increase in recharge speed for that as well. Now let's get to the components, and as you can see here, I only have 2 legendaries, and everything else is Masterwork. I have a bunch of legendaries that I could use, but they wouldn't give me anything better than what I already have due to the stats. Okay, so catalytic overdrive, for obvious reasons. Combo damage increased by 50%. You detonate combos all the time, and also detonating a combo increases ability damage by 40% for 20 seconds. You're doing most of your damage through abilities, so this is very, very important. And the kinetic resist, I never really completely fully understood what exactly it does. I'm not sure if it reduces physical damage, impact damage that you receive. I'm not sure, but anything that you see that says resist next to it, if you're a Colossus, is nice. Shock treatment increases your ordnance launcher damage by 5%, which is practically irrelevant. But the important part is this: taking damage increases all damage by 8% for 10 seconds, stacking to 10. So basically, when you're fully stacked with this, you're doing 80% extra damage from any source of damage that you do is increased by 80%. You also get the resupply drop rate increase, which is good because everything that drops more for you, and you get 55% armor max, which is great for a component, and it basically completes the amount that we need to be able to survive enough in big fights. The next one is demolition tribute. This one is important, not for the Colossus shield damage thing while sprinting. We never use that anyway, rarely, let's say. But melee hits, which is again something they use a lot to prime everyone, will cause enemies to restore 20% armor when defeated. The wording on this item is not very clear, so from what I understand is when you use melee on someone, when that someone dies, it restores 20% of your armor. And you also get a little more kinetic resist and 20% extra drop rates for repair drop rates. The next item on the list, and I just recently changed to that when I got the grenade launcher actually, is the extended special arms magazine. First of all, it increases your grenade launcher damage by 30%, which is always nice to have. Why not? And it also increases your magazine size. It's at 9. I don't know how much it goes to. This is the first time I'll be using it actually. And it also gives you an extra 60% melee damage, which is your melee damage is AoE. So this is amazing. And it also increases your ultimate damage, which is always something nice to have. Symbiotic Surge, again, it gives you extra armor actually. Now that even the Colossus has similar armor and shields on his components with everyone else, this is a great item to have. So you get a lot of armor, and you also get an extra 70% melee damage increase. The combo aura effect is it's useless. It only works for the interceptor, but we don't care about that. There's a lot of stats that we don't need on our items. We can't have perfect stats. It's impossible. The perk of this item: when you pick up a repair pack, all your damage is increased by 50%. You're getting damaged all the time as a Colossus. We have a lot of repair drop rates, so this is practically always enabled. So this plus this gives you basically 130% increase in your overall damage output almost all the time, which is amazing considering you're so tanky at the same time you're doing so much damage. And the last item on the list is the ablative shielding. It gives you some extra armor and shield than the normal components, and a shield break increases damage resistance by 40%. That one is not that important, to be honest, because we don't use our shield that much unless it's really necessary. And you get some fire resistance, which is nice. So basically some extra armor and shields with a damage resistance increase of 40% when the shield breaks. This item actually is something that we could change up because the perk that it gives us is not something that we really use too often. So this one you can change up if you have any item for the Colossus that has better stats, maybe some more armor percentage increase or repair drop rates or anything useful. Melee damage, ultimate damage, anything. You could go right ahead and switch to that. But everything else I feel is very important for this build. And I'll show you how this build plays out in a stronghold right now. Of course, GM3, like I said, it's just easy peasy. So we increase our shield by a little bit. Now, here's the important part. The combo sigil. I don't do the cooldown sigil because we already have pretty small cooldown, so we don't really need it that much. And acid sigil, we do acid damage from our weapon and our ordnance launcher. And our ordnance launcher does a lot of damage, and it's a very big range. It's an AoE, and the further you are targeting, the more area that the acid spreads to. So I use this one as well. Let's equip everything. And let's hope there's people playing on. There's people playing right now. As per usual, we're only 3, and they were 2 before I came in, so there we go. These guys almost cleared everything out. One of them's just about to die. It's always important to try and put the acid on them as soon as you can. Look at the dot damage from the acid. It's crazy. These guys, I mean, they do a lot of damage, but again, we're so tanky that it's ridiculous. Just fill everyone with acid. Oh, from 9. Okay, that's actually. Oh, I heard it. I heard a Lego. Nah, just gets. Oh, is the Lego under the ground? Oh, come on, that's stupid. Again, if you see that your health is falling a little bit, just wait for the cooldown, and you're fine. Check out all the damage, guys. We're not dying. This is GM3, by the way. We're not dying fast enough for them to kill us before the cooldown of our E ability. So basically we're constantly cooled up. We're just 3 people, by the way. The Colossus specialty, especially with this build, is turrets. Oh, did I completely miss everything there? Check it out. One of those very rare occasions that I might die. There we go. Boom, 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 boom. Sure, it's gone. Bye bye. Someone's dead. Oh, 2 people are dead. Fantastic. Don't worry, guys. Oh, did I just miss? Yeah, I did. Not to worry. We're too tanky to die. They can't do anything. It's crazy. It's crazy. Oh my god. Look at the damage output. And the dot damage. That is disgusting. Oh, we're out of ammo. So I'm seeing here that these guys are picking up echoes instead of killing enemies. That's a rookie mistake, guys. Kill everyone first. Now, what I do here is try, since we're, you know, unkillable and such, I just stay in the acid so we can stack up our shock treatment. So as soon as that guy comes down, he gets like destroyed. And we have our ultimate ready and everything is going for us. First we attack with our weapon for the acid damage. And here we go. Maybe if that guy, could leave from in front of us, that would be great. Look at that. That was a full hit from the boss and did like 1/3 of our health. He did less than what our E ability heals. Which is, by the way, already up. Oh no, we failed. Ah, crap. Oh well. The DPS output was bad in that fight. I've been in groups where he would go up, we would fail to knock him down, and he would already be at 50%. Now he's at 75%. The AoE damage on low health enemies is crazy. Well, it doesn't have to be low health enemies, but you know what I mean. Whoa, boy. Oh, there we go. Let's do our ultimate. Maybe we can knock him down before he jumps up again. There we go. Failed. Crap. Yeah, our damage output is a little bit low. Come on, Swarm Tyrants. There we go. Now you die. Oof. Oh, lordy.
He's dead. You did it. The
Oh,
caravan's
another
safe.
Lego.
You know your link's still connected, right? Yep. Not so much I need
So,
to drink.
if in fact the game does give us Legos and Masterworks that we don't actually pick up in the game at the end, we should have 3 legendaries from this one, which is, you know, not bad. Very nice. I actually haven't gotten many Legos from my Colossus the last few days for some reason. I've ran quite a few strongholds, like 6 or 7. I think I've got 1 or something. I see 2. Hopefully they're actually 3.
Hello.
As you can see, my friends, we were barely close to dying, like once or twice only, and those were times where we just, I could, you know, not even be in a situation like that if I was a little more careful, or maybe if I had my assault launcher or whatever it's called with the extra charge, which is you get a 35% armor heal basically twice. Let's skip this. I don't think we got it. Nope, it didn't give it to us. That's retarded. Okay. Balm of Gavinicus. It gives us some armor, so if we replace the one we're using right now, for example, if we replace the one we're using right now with this one, we get 65% extra armor plus the heal when we hit 2 enemies, which is nice, but we already have enough of that, and we're also losing an acid primer, which is amazing. So of course we're going to keep this, or we're not going to be using it. Oh, this is, oh lordy, this one is nice because you can fill everything everywhere with fire, and not only do you get 200% gear charges extra, but applying fire effect to 2 enemies refills the charge, so basically you can have this infinitely. Yeah, so that's it, guys. You've seen the build. What do you guys think about it? I feel like it's very powerful. I've been playing with a lot of other javelins, and I've left the Colossus out, and I tried this a few days ago, and I was like, this was nice. I did a few adjustments to it. I noticed that I basically never died and did a lot of damage and would basically carry teams all the time. So, and I'm not even legendary level. I'm at 845 or something. So, what's your opinion? What do you guys think? Anything you would change up, and why? And what are your Colossus builds? I'm curious. So anyway, that's going to be it for now, guys. Thank you all for watching. This is the Bearded Gamer. Over and out.